Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how I made this graffiti. It might be a little long, but I'll go through all the steps and try to explain what was going on in my mind. So I first start off with the power lines, and I start in the middle. I place my Z, and then I go E and D on the left, and then start on the right. Now these power lines are kind of like going to indicate where my letters are going to go. It's kind of like a giant tag, and so I can actually know where things are. This helps to balance out the graffiti and understand where everything is going. Then I start to thicken out the lines and kind of like recreate the bars for each of the letters. I take the power lines as a guide to creating those bars, so I place them and then I kind of like see how each of those bars connects with the others, kind of creating connections and little pieces in between. It's all about working on the letter structure here. So it's like, once the power lines are placed, I can see how the letters are supposed to go, what are the main part of the letter, and then I'm working on kind of like the other parts of the letter, like just the secondary parts, like placing them. So it's the first sketch, actually, the first lines are very important for that, because that's how you can know if the graffiti is going to work or not. So take your time to really build that graffiti and balance the letters. And now that I was happy with the letters, I go about and buff out the background. So it's like taking the latex paint and just like, cleaning out the background of the piece so that I can see the graffiti better. Now next step is the fill-in. For this I decided to go with a fade of 4 colors, from the light green to dark green and then gray. This color scheme was inspired by these plants that I have lying in the house. It goes from like greens and grays. And so I decided here to do the same thing and to start with the gray. So place the gray and then go into like the dark green and go like little by little go lighter. And trying to emphasize kind of like some of the key parts of the letters by making that part in the lighter greens, and the rest slowly fades into grays. Here you have like a little close-up of those little bits that I add, kind of like at the end of some of the parts. There are like pins at the end of a structure that kind of like hold everything up. For the star is a bit different. I decided not to go with a green and instead to go with like an accent color. So that's like a color that kind of like stands out from everything else, just to kind of attract the attention of the eye. Now for the background, we decided on just going into bubbles, making something actually quite simple. For bubbles, it's actually, you just take a bunch of colors that are kind of like have the same hues, like same kind of like greens, but kind of like varying, like darker and lighter. And you just place them one bubble beside the next, but just try to make it so that it contrasts a little with each other and not having too many bubbles of the same exact shape. So it's more organic, more natural. Now I went back inside the fill and I decided to place some black shadows that would go from one letter to the next. This would help me after to do the outline and also kind of like make one letter kind of like stand out from the next letter, trying to see where exactly each one goes. Now you see me doing the outline. For that, I just took a nice full pink and went on. Followed the lines, followed where it should go, and placed them one after the next. You can see. This is the part where you really kind of like build the letters, so you kind of like have to really see where the bars are going and understand what part of the letter goes above what other part. Once you're satisfied with it, then you really have to push on and do it throughout the whole entire piece. I usually actually just do the whole outline and then do the 3D, but this time I decided to go and paint the whole 3D at the same time as I was doing the outline. So you see me here creating every single one of the letters and filling in those colors. Everything's going with full pink. So the full pink is like the number 4. And that would be kind of like the mid-tone of the pink that I was going to use. So I chose the mid-tone because it was going to be a lot easier that way to go lighter and darker to really emphasize the 3D effect. And so using lighter and darker pinks to create the shadows into the 3D, into the outline, and make that outline pop. Yeah, going, trying to figure out how to do the eye, which part goes over which part. It's an interesting step into the graffiti right now. Now I'm placing everything, really trying to create the base. Once I have the base, then I can start thinking about where I put the lights and where the shadows will go on each one of those areas. At this point, I decided to add the light green inside to create added movement inside my graffiti. And then I went on to go back to the outline and take the lighter pink and start doing the light and shadow. So now it's kind of like I figured out my light was going to come from the top left, and so I started placing all the light colors. Well, the light from the pink from going from like number 4 to number 3 to number 2 to really like lighter and lighter, just as the parts were going to go into the lights. And then I do the same thing with a darker pink, and I create where it's really going to the shadow. So like that way I suddenly now really create that added element of depth. I have the mid-tone, which is the pink number 4, and then I go into like a lighter pinks and then a darker pinks, which I will then keep working on it little by little until I'm satisfied and until I go through all the lights. Finally, I decided to add a drop shadow under my letters onto the bubbles and started going through creating like just a darker fade at that point throughout the graffiti. At this point my battery died, so it stopped recording. So here's the final result, and you can see how it looked in the end with all the added tags and signatures and things. Hope you like it.